Hi, my name is Anton Albrand, Division Vice President, Chief Revenue Officer for SkyBitz. SkyBitz is the market leader in industrial IoT solutions supporting the trucking and transportation industry, providing tracking and visibility solutions to unpowered assets such as trailers, containers, chassis, etc. We also support the oil and gas industry with tank monitoring solutions, which provide inventory levels and help support delivery efficiency in the oil and gas, all sectors, downstream, midstream, and upstream applications. And lastly, we provide a petroleum logistics delivery solution, which is a fully integrated solution to support the all components of petroleum delivery. I'm here today with John Pope from Cargo Transporters. Very happy to have John here today with us. John's been a loyal customer of SkyBitz for over 3 years. And today we're going to talk about 3G sunsets in our Tech in Action FreightWaves spot today. So welcome, John. Glad to have you here.
Thanks, Anton. Glad to be here.
Great. So maybe, John, just if you wouldn't mind giving a little introduction on yourself, and then, maybe a little bit about kind of a high-level overview of Cargo Transporters.
Sure. So Cargo Transporters was started in 1982. And we're a dry van truckload carrier based in North Carolina. And so I grew up in the business, and a lot of what I did when I growing up was technology related. And so that is my background. And so I was the one that initially started all the telematics projects and got those underway here with the company. So that's a lot of my background as far as the technology piece. I grew up in the business here, so I've done a little bit of everything here, and took over as chairman of the board back in 2005.
Wow, that's great. Well, you must be busy. Maybe you just give a quick update on the state of the industry as you see it, just with the pandemic and the uptick in freight. Obviously, nice surprise from an economic standpoint. Just thoughts on that, and how you're feeling about the future going forward.
Yeah, so our fleet size is about 500 power units and 1,800 trailers. And we were, things are running pretty much at capacity before COVID. And of course, we had a little blip when COVID first started because of some factory shutdowns and things here in the Carolinas. From a freight standpoint, it's been all we could handle. The really major issue has been the driver availability piece of the equation, and that's really made it hard for us to maintain our truck count that we had been operating before. But all in all, we're doing fine. It's just a very challenging market to find professional drivers. But overall, I think we've survived COVID very well.
Yeah, no, that seems to be a common theme. Everything you said it's resonated throughout the industry for sure. Well, I appreciate that. I think also, really what we wanted to cover today is the 3G sunset and the importance of having a right partner, and planning ahead for this looming deadline, which is, I guess, the clock's ticking for 3G. So can you talk a little bit about how you went through the process working with SkyBitz, and how you would suggest or recommend your peers, other companies, do this successfully, and some of the thoughts that you have around that?
Sure. So we had a telematics solution that dated back for a number of years, and of course it was a mix of 2G and 3G units, and we knew that was coming. We've been, I think, all been hearing the sunset line now for a couple of years from the cellular carriers. And so we started looking about 2 years ago how we were going to handle that. mainly just because of the quantity of devices we had, and knowing that we were going to have to go out and touch every vehicle and piece of equipment, we wanted to make sure that we made the right selection when we did that, just because of the manpower involved. And so, we put a lot of effort into looking at that, and of course, we chose SkyBitz as our partner, and a lot of that was due to not only the technology that was made available, but we wanted to consider even things getting down to the financial stability of the company, and were they going to be around to support the product and support us 5, 7, 10 years from now.
No, you're exactly right. Has the financial backing and the experience and the methodology and the project management experience to actually go and do these. And one thing, we've had a lot of experience with sunsets. We've been in the business for 20 plus years, and so we've seen these. And you learn through the school of hard knocks, and I think that's what's actually helped us get even better and better every time these events happen. So we know it's critical, and we're happy that we've been able to build an organization to support the 3G conversion, complex fragmented installation services, but also just the project methodology, the installation network to help support, as well as the training, which is critical, and being able to distribute that training effectively and accurately to all the locations, whether it be an in-house or a third-party installer network. So really end-to-end, tracking from planning and conception to all the way through to completion. We feel like we've done a really good job there. But I'm glad to hear. Thank you for the kind words, and happy that you've had a success so far. And being a national carrier, it's not easy. So it's complex. You want to maybe talk about some of the things that came up that were challenges, that were things that you got a chance to overcome, and how you did it. Maybe some of the top things that you weren't expecting that you realized and could share best practices for other carriers in the industry.
Yeah. So one of the good things about the partnership that we've got with SkyBitz is we had a dedicated project manager that helped us through the implementation process, but we also did utilize some third-party installer groups to help with that, and that helped the process because they were able to get their teams to locations that either we didn't have a presence with a shop, or maybe it was a large customer site that we arranged for them to do some installs, and that certainly helped. And I think as we progress through that, one of the things that you find is over the years where maybe we've changed equipment specs, equipment specifications, and I think probably one of the bigger things that we discovered was in some of our trailers we had put in a liner in the front of the trailer, so where we were installing your unit on the front, we actually needed to get inside to cut some liner out of the trailer. So it's there are, I think, going to be minor things that pop up, but when you start talking about trying to go back and retrofit equipment that has all this age or changing specs, there are some challenges that come with that, but overall the process went very smoothly, and I am glad that we started when we did, so that we could get a jump on it, and we had some time to accommodate minor modifications or changes, sort of the exceptions that were out there.
Sure. No, that makes sense. Well, and kudos to you all for getting ahead of it and really starting proactively. That's a real critical piece. What would you say, in your opinion, are the issues of waiting for to start a project like this of this magnitude? If you're a medium to larger size carrier, any thoughts on that in terms of exposure or issues or risk from your perspective?
I think I think the larger carriers are already out there and probably well into the process. Um, the biggest challenge to us was physically getting our hands on the equipment. With most carriers having increased their tractor to trailer ratio because of customer demand to hold the equipment for another day or two, or maybe you've got a large trailer pool at a customer site. It's just harder to get our hands on that equipment than it's ever been. And customers have really streamlined a lot of their process within their facility, so you don't find as many customers truly warehousing product. It's usually taken straight from the trailer and then sent directly either into distribution or production. So the trailer availability of the customer is really key, and so we try to manage through that process. And I think that's probably was the biggest challenge for us.
Sure. And I just have to imagine that is the clock gets shorter and the timeline starts to constrict, that it's going to get more challenging to get things like installers or access to locations. There's going to be additional costs, and inventory obviously is another big thing that's a problem right now on a global scale. So yeah, I think getting ahead of it is really important, and certainly not too late right now to get started. But we fully believe that the sooner you start, the better, for all those reasons that you mentioned. And I think to your point, it's the 80-20 rule a little bit. Maybe it's a little more 70-30, 60-40, but it's those last percentage of trailers that are really tough to get access to. They're remote, they're one or two installs, and that's where it gets expensive. So you want to try to maximize that throughput as much as possible, and get that tackled on the primary kind of base of equipment early, and then you can still have the time to get out and maximize some of those tougher to reach trailers, harder to locate. But luckily with trailer tracking, you know where they're at, you know how long they've been sitting, you know how to coordinate them, and so that's great. Excellent.
Yeah, exactly.
John, maybe you'd like to just talk a little bit about the mobile technologies that you use and how you use them, and how they support your business, and the importance of having that type of visibility to support the business operations and efficiencies, et cetera.
So the system that we're using, the SkyBitz system that we're using, has a load sensor capability. Obviously, the GPS positioning piece, and then we also use a door sensor. And we take all that data and we feed it back into our operations system, and then that then is fed out to multiple folks and departments to help them communicate with the customer about availability of the equipment, as well as the status of their loads, and so really, I think to a lot of our customers, the information about the shipment itself is almost just as important as the product that's on the trailer. It's so many of the supply chain systems are fed off of that data. So we take all those data points and then we pass those along to the folks that desire to have that information. But it's a key part of our operations and planning, and makes it very difficult to be able to function without that information, as handy as it is today.
So John, obviously elephant in the room here question, but COVID, challenging, 12, 14 plus months now. How do you think that played a part in this whole 3G sunset race to finish, and obviously the ability to do this successfully with the challenge of the pandemic and COVID, what were some of the things that impacted in terms of your business operations in general, and obviously layering in, which is an additional workload, this 3G, I would say disruptive 3G conversion process that is tacked onto the everyday life of operating a trucking company?
Yeah, so COVID posed just really unreal set of challenges. And, at the time COVID hit, we were probably about 75% complete in our conversion out of our 3G equipment. And, from a driver perspective, I was really proud not only of our drivers, but really drivers nationwide in how they handled COVID. I think, knowing what it was for us to comply with our own company policy, and then you leave and you went to a grocery store or somewhere else, and maybe they had a different set of rules or something that they wanted you to go by, and trying to think about our drivers who basically every day were in multiple facilities, and they were all expected to comply in different manners. And so I was really proud of how our drivers handled that situation, and continue today to adapt really every day on the fly to expectations of either a truck stop or a customer or receiver. And so I think all in all, I think that's gone very well from the driver's side. One of the things that we did that we really sort of changed up in the installation process is we tried to route more of these through our own facilities, even if we were using a third party to help us with the installs. Maybe we didn't have all of the labor that we needed to do that. We felt a little bit more free at our facilities to manage the installs and not impose on a third party or a customer in the process. So we tried to route more through our facility in order to do that.
Yeah, totally agree, John. We see it. I think if you can control it through your own network, it's optimal, but it's usually impossible to do 100% through that method. So when it does require some ancillary locations, customer locations, trailer pool locations, dedicated fleet things that are sometimes more challenging due to restricted access or availability to enter, or safety protocols can create a whole nother set of challenges. But part of that is wrapped into our product methodology to make sure that all locations are certified and they become part of the total picture, and they're actually approved in the process, so you can understand the hours of operation, safety protocols, anything unique that's required. SkyBitz has been providing trucking and transportation IoT solutions for a really long time, and we've certainly learned a lot through the process and have built a really strong organization and team and methodology and project management skills to be able to go and complete these very challenging sunset conversions. And we're excited to work with companies like Cargo Transporters who have the vision and insight to get ahead of it, get ahead of the curve, work very collaboratively with us to make these projects successful. They're not easy. A lot of upfront planning and a lot of ongoing management of the program, weekly updates, weekly deployment schedules and check-ins. A lot of moving parts, never days the same, and never a dull moment during these times. So anyway, again, really appreciate, John, your loyalty and your business partnership with SkyBitz. It's been a great relationship, and congratulations on your successes also as being an industry leader in the space. Very exciting, and we're just super excited to be your partner through this and get you onto the other side of an LTE, approved to carrier. So
Thanks, Anton. Glad to participate today. Glad to have the opportunity to hop on here today and share a little bit about what we've done.